So these are the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remasters. Obviously, Tomb Raider is one of the most influential and greatest video game franchises of all time. Lara Croft here is the one of the most iconic, not only women, but also one of the most iconic characters in video game history just in general. And as you see here, we can switch back and forth between the original graphics and the new shiny remastered graphics, as well as the ability to switch controls from the classic tank to the modern controls. I am no stranger to Tomb Raider, so I prefer the tank controls simply because that's what I'm used to. But for modern, these controls aren't bad. There's some things you cannot do in modern that you can in tank. So modern still has some issues that could be ironed out, but I'm going to be using, for the most part, tank controls. We also have walk to action, which just means whenever an item is nearby or any sort of interactive comes up, you can hold the action button and Lara will physically walk over to it or sidestep or whatever she needs to do, which the original games did not have. I believe Tomb Raider 4 or 5 had it and introduced it, and it's now been retroactively added as some other things have been. Action indicators simply means that an arrow, or rather an exclamation point, will show up over anything that Lara can interact with, which the original games also did not have, which is nice. So let's go to Lara's home. See, everything is remastered. You can even switch back and forth on the loading screens too, and even the cutscenes. Look at that. The cutscenes are like AI upscaled
Welcome to my home.
and all that
I'll
stuff.
take you on a guided
So
tour.
here's Lara's home in Tomb Raider 1. I'm using 10 controls here, and look at this. These are the classic graphics. Oh, sorry, remastered. Here's the classic graphics. Look at this. So you can play the game as it was originally presented, and then these are the remastered graphics. Very, very cool. So speaking of some things that have also been retroactively added into the classic Tomb Raider games, is the ability to do like a
Let's do some
somersault,
tumbling.
doing a
Press the
jump
jump button.
like this.
Run up to a
Oh, I
crate,
missed it.
and while
Hold on,
still
I'll have to
pressing
do it again.
forward, press
Like
action,
that.
and I'll vault
And
up
then you
onto
can
the
do it doing a
top.
back jump too. Um, the classic Tomb Raider games did not have that. I believe Tomb Raider 2 had it. The first game originally did not have that, if I remember correctly. So anytime doing a jump, if you tap the action of the circle button, which is like dodge, it's like her roll, her quick turn, I should say. Doing a jump, she'll quickly turn in that direction, which is a lot faster than doing this and then running. So that's cool that it's now been retroactively added in. Also, there's a photo mode, which allows you to switch back and forth, and you can even change your outfit and all that stuff, which is just the modern thing only. Or maybe it's just for this particular level you can't do it. But yeah, and let me tell you, this camera is very lenient. You can basically go wherever you want, which is nice because it allows you to observe the graphics. See these aqua textures? Fixed. See that? Very nice. Um, Even this like little Ark of the Covenant here, treasure like from Indiana Jones or something. Very nice. So we're gonna go ahead and try to actually start a level. Also, the expansions, Unfinished Business, Golden Mask, Lost Artifacts, they're in these games now too, which I think is the first time it's ever been on modern consoles. Maybe Tomb Raider Gold had it. Also, if you hold L1 R1 during a cutscene, um, as the game starts, Laura will have her glasses turned on. I'm not going to do it right now because I think it's too late. Here's the look button. Oof, fancy. So this is the first Tomb Raider, very iconic level here. Now the lighting has also changed, so there's new light sources. So if we look up here, I mean look at that. Looks a lot nicer. Um, some areas are brighter in Classic, some areas are darker in Classic. It really just depends on where you're at. There's the camera telling you where to go. There's a treasure up here, though. Oh, a secret. It's like a med kit. So see, it's darker in the remastered graphics, but lighter in the original. So we're gonna go ahead and get this little secret med kit that's up here. Very nice. And here's the remastered. I've also noticed in the classic graphics that um, here's walk to action. You just hold the action button when the exclamation point shows up, and she'll grab it. I've also noticed that the frame rate dips from 60 FPS to 30 FPS when using classic graphics, which makes sense, I guess, because these games originally were 30 FPS. There are still a couple of things that I think would be pretty cool, like maybe they give you the option to change the frame rate in classic, which I don't think is that big of a deal. Um, One thing I think would be cool is if you could switch the game from 16:9 to 4:3, like when you switch to classic, it's in 4:3, like it originally was. I think that'd be pretty cool. Ooh, look at this. Fancy. because the games didn't originally have that. Like, look at this. This section's very dark, but in Classic, it's a lot brighter. It's like it's the opposite, you know? Very strange. But yeah, here's Tomb Raider 1. Very nice. Nicely remastered as well. And then we even have the expansion, Unfinished Business, which is nice too. As I said, everything looks very, very nice here. I think this is definitely the proper way of doing a remaster. This DLC expansion is nice because it's very strange. I also love the textures that show up here. Look at this, it's like lava and stuff. It's very cool. Let's be careful about these jumps. But yes, you can also play the game with the modern controls, which some... I have to do a running jump. Some people don't like the classic controls. I get it, tank controls are kind of awkward. But for me, it's what I'm used to. I've played these games before. Tank controls, I forgot to jump there, but it's alright because we can go down here anyway. Tank controls are just fine to me. Look at this boulder. Yeah, yeah, good boulder. But yeah, look at these textures. It's like it's breathing, like a heartbeat or something. I mean, look at this. It's nice. I always loved how this looks. So yeah, there's the expansion. Let's go to Tomb Raider 2 now. But as I said, these cameras are very, very, very lenient. You can basically go wherever you want to with them. Let me try holding L1R1. I don't know if you have to watch the cutscenes or if you can skip them. But I guess you have to watch the cutscenes. Oh, let me show you something that's pretty cool. You can kill Lara like within the first 2 seconds if you play Tomb Raider 2. It's pretty awesome. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, hold on, I'm supposed to hold R1 and then jump. Like that. I messed it up. I'm gonna do it again. I think it's pretty funny to do it. This is my any percent death speedrun world record. I don't know if this is a legitimate category, but I'll pretend that it is. You basically hold R1 and press square up as soon as it starts. Like that. Isn't that funny? Let's be serious. But yes, if you hold L1 R1 during a cutscene, Lara will actually be wearing her glasses. I didn't do it this time. Well, watch this. For photo mode, you can take the camera basically wherever you want, just as long as you don't, or you can't pass through solid objects. But like, look at this. I mean, I can basically take this camera wherever I want to. I mean, it's pretty crazy. The helicopter shows up, which also points you where you need to go. If you pull the guns out, it does skip the camera cuts, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, this game, as I said, tank controls are definitely the option for me. Modern has some things that you can't really do, like you can't finely tune turns, like in Modern. I guess it is a little easier, like combat. I didn't mean to do that. Combat is easier in the Modern controls, simply because Lara can just sit there and like run in circles, basically, which she cannot do with the tank controls. So some things are easier in Modern, like combat is easier, but for tank, basically everything else is easier. But I guess some people really do like the new Modern controls, right? Let's be careful. As I said, you know, with these games, you've got to be very cautious. You can save anywhere, thankfully. The original, like, PlayStation version of Tomb Raider, you could basically only save at certain points, like these little crystals would show up. But thankfully, you can save wherever you want in these games. There's also a treasure over here. I guess I'll get it, just because why not? Also, it's actually a proper 3D model. Instead of like a flat 2D texture, it's now a proper 3D model. So that's very nice. Oh, I might have missed that. Oof. I jumped a little too early. As I said, you gotta be cautious when it comes to your jumps in this game. You gotta be very, very meticulous. Thankfully, as I said, you can save basically anywhere. So just save frequently. Basically before any jump, because jumps in this game could very, very quickly end in absolute disaster. And that's not fun if a jump ends in a disaster. So now we're getting into the section where you have to swim a little bit. And look at this. You can do an underwater turn. How nice is that? So these are things that you can do in all three games. So swimming is a lot easier, and like especially Tomb Raider 1 now, because you can do that underwater roll. This is a bit of a difficult jump because Lara has to basically jump as soon as she gets to the edge to make it over here to this switch. Here's classic graphics. Water looks a lot nicer too. This game has like new audio effects, so there's like proper 3D audio and stuff. Let me do this. Yeah, I missed. I jumped a little too early. And there's a turn, which as I said makes swimming a lot easier in this game. Also, the HUD switches too. I'm reminded of something else. In the modern graphics, it's just a black background on the inventory screen. But with the classic, you get this very nice red fabric that sort of waves. I just wish you could make that permanent even with modern graphics too, because it just makes it look a little bit nicer. Tomb Raider 3 also does that too. In the original game, if I remember correctly, for Tomb Raider 3, Lara would actually, you would see a snapshot of the game rather on the inventory screen, but now it's just a plain black background. But I suppose that's not that big of a deal. So now we're getting into the actual main Great Wall, and we're going to be attacked by some birds here. We can pull out our guns, and that's cool. Here's these birds. These games are not very animal friendly, just so you know. Also, let's take a look at the skybox here. I mean, look at this. These are the original, remastered. Looks very nice. Even the birds. Let's take a look at the birds here. Pretty cool. So this game does maintain the blocky models of the animals, but at the same time, it keeps the retro aesthetic while just making it look a lot nicer. As I said, this game is a proper remaster. Alright, very nice. I'm going to do a swan dive off of this, just because it looks cool. Also, if you're wondering, you can still do these fancy little animations. Very cool, like that. So that's when you hold onto a ledge, you just press walk and hold jump afterwards. Speaking of, we have this little section here in which Lara can swan dive below. Just look at this, it looks so much nicer. Also, in photo mode, you can change your outfit. I think I talked about that already, but yes. Look at this. Very nice. That's very, very nice. Also, walk to action does work. Underwater too. Very nice. So that's a little bit of Tomb Raider 2. Um, as I said, these are just beautiful remasters. They're not 100% perfect. Like, there's still some stuff that's missing that I think you could add. So let's talk about Lara's home too. Tomb Raider 2 has the obstacle course and all that stuff. You have the old obstacle course here, as you know. I'm not going to run through it right now, but yeah, the obstacle course is here. Also, here's the infamous butler. There he is. Look at that. Look at that guy right there. You can still lock him in the freezer. He actually freezes. He'll turn into like solid ice now if you lock him in the freezer, which I think is a great detail. So next we have Tomb Raider 3. This also has the Lost Artifact. As I said, all the expansions, very cool. Here's the loading screen. I'm going to hold L1 R1, just during this cutscene. I'm not sure if you can skip them or not. Classic and remastered. And Lara has glasses. Only on the modern graphics, but yes. So you can do that, which I think is great, that you can actually give her glasses. So there's a couple of secret things that you can do. I was going to grab that tree, but I decided not to. There's some supplies on the left, like just ammo and med kits and stuff. Look at this. This looks very nice. Let me talk about how free the camera is, which I've mentioned a couple of times, but I'm telling you, this camera is just really free. Like, you can basically go wherever you want to. Like, look at this. With this camera, you can go anywhere. You can observe the skybox, see how nice it looks now. As I'm saying, you can go basically wherever you want. This is where the monkey takes the little health kit right there. I mean, look at this. This camera goes wherever you want. You can't pass through solid objects. You cannot go through solid walls. But I mean, look at this. I can't go through here. But I think it's nice too because you can change graphics in photo mode and you can really observe everything. Those textures, like you can really look at everything. It's very, very nice. Like, look at that. You can even see some of the boundary break stuff. Look at that. It's very nice. So the camera is very free in terms of what you can do with it, which I think is a good thing. Also, look at these puddles. These puddles are very nice. Obviously, they're not in the classic graphics, or the original, I should say, but they do look very, very nice. Here's the save crystal, which I believe are just collectibles in this game. They don't actually serve any purpose outside of being collectibles. But yes, there's the original graphics. No ray tracing, so you're not going to see Lara's reflection in them or anything. But we also have one detail that I noticed that this game doesn't have that I thought would be kind of cool. On classic graphics, you might notice that this deep mud here, maybe it's quicksand, you can see it's kind of wobbling. Like, you can physically see that it's moving. But if you go to modern graphics, it doesn't do it. There are some fireflies, which is nice. But yeah, it doesn't do it on the classic graphics, or the modern, I should say, but it does on the classic, which is a little weird, and I wish that it would still wobble, just mostly for accuracy's sake. But like whatever, I guess that's not that big of a deal. But yes, look at this. There's the monkey who gets all the who gets the health kit here. There he is. You can tell it's a monkey because it has a tail. I love just switching back and forth in the graphics here. It's very nice. But yes, these are very, very good remasters. I think they're really beautiful, and I'm really hoping that maybe the later Tomb Raider games, 4, 5, even Angel of Darkness, will be remastered. And as I said, I really like the Survivor Trilogy too. I think the Survivor Trilogy games are great. Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably my favorite, but I'm a huge fan of Tomb Raider. Me and Lara have been tight with each other for a very, very long time now, and I think these are great remasters.